This is the Average Guy Network, and you have found Gadget Geeks show number 499. We're almost there. Recorded on July 29th, 2021. Here on Home Gadget Geeks, we cover all the favorite tech gadgets that find their way into your home. News, reviews, product updates, and conversation, all for the average tech guy. I'm your host, Jim Collison, broadcasting live from what has turned into hell here in Nebraska. We're supposed to get some relief this weekend. Most of the West, I think, is suffering from this heat too. But how are you staying cool? What do you staying inside? Basically?
Well, it's been my answer. I have these cornhole boards that I really need to finish, and you can't even be in the garage. Like, it is just stifling hot. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to wait till this weekend. Puts me behind a little bit, but yeah, it's been stay inside and play hockey on the ice rink to stay cool. It's unreal around here.
Kind of interesting to be playing hockey in the middle of summer, right?
Well, yeah, and the crazy part is Ragbri was this week, and Ragbri, for people around Nebraska, Iowa, is the bike ride across Iowa. So that just happened. So I don't even know. I mean, gosh, I hope no one suffered any heat stroke or anything, because I mean, it was we were in a heat advisory all week. And it was that heat that was super, just like it just hits you. You walk outside.
I just stayed inside. Yeah. I had no interest in going out. I was just like, I'm just gonna stay inside. This walk on the treadmill. That kind of stuff. Well, we'll survive it. I think we have some thunderstorms coming in tonight. Should cool it down over the weekend, of course. So we'll post a show, this one with a few show notes, maybe this week, out at the Average Guy.tv. Big thanks to those who are over on Patreon. Just a reminder, if you are a Patreon subscriber, you can get pretty easily. And I kind of caught up on I've been posting the videos, but I hadn't posted just the audio of the full show. So that's everything, pre and post. I just give it all to you. That's back in action. So if you want to get that, an easy way to get that is on Patreon. We have a $5 plan if you want to join us. And of course, we appreciate that. TheAverageGuy.tv/Patreon. Mike and I were talking a little crypto in advance in the pre-show. We were, weren't we? Just a little. Yeah, I was talking about my taxes. And if you want to join us in the crypto journey, if you haven't done anything yet, an easy way to get in is on Coinbase. If you head out to TheAverageGuy.tv/Coinbase, first $100 trade or purchase will get you 10 and gets us 10, and appreciate your support of that. If you want to do it, you don't have to. It's just a great way to learn on Coinbase. Maybe, Mike, as I learn more about you've got this, what's that application you recommended to me again?
Cointracker.io. And actually the way I found it was through Coinbase. So they have a connection to Coinbase. So if you're in your Coinbase account, you can go to the taxes section, and the first recommendation is, hey, just connect with cointracker.io. So it'll pull in, you actually log in through your Coinbase account. So it'll pull that account, and it'll also, you can plug in manually any other wallets. You can pull in via API from other wallets. So there's a bunch of different ways to connect. You can tell it certain wallets are mining wallets, and it will essentially, for a fee at the end of the year, but it will give you your tax documents that you need to do.
Yeah. Well, so we'll have to give it if it's convenient, it's kind of sometimes.
It's the easiest thing ever. Yeah.
So
takes about 5 minutes to set up and you'll be done.
All of about 4 individuals in the world are doing it at this. They're not that listen to this show. I haven't gotten a lot of feedback on crypto. You and I are doing it, but I don't know of that many others that are doing it. So anyways, you can join us on Coinbase, TheAverageGuy.tv/Coinbase. And I did have about 20 take advantage of that offer. So I know there's at least 20 of you out there that are doing some stuff, and love to hear your feedback. If you want to do that, by the way, the best way to kind of dialogue with the group here is on Discord. So go to TheAverageGuy.tv/Discord, join in the conversation. Lots of good stuff going on there. I've been posting in last week's show. I asked 2 questions. One was around Ring, and I've got some updates for you. So that'll be first. And then 2 was around the generator, creating kind of a generator
smart
plugin thing. Yeah. And I kind of spent the week working on it. So Mike, I got some pictures and I'll run some things by you, and we'll do that. And then Mike's got a ham radio update, and we'll spend a little bit of time doing that. Then whatever else you come up with in the chat room, if you want to do it that way. Mike, starting Friday afternoon, I took the Ring cam out of the packaging, got it all set up. By the way, man, Ring in setup is the easiest thing. Like it's
Good experience, huh?
it's unbelievably easy.
Okay.
Yeah. Especially adding another camera once you have one. I mean, it is really take it out of the box, charge the battery, put the battery in, push a button and then follow the instructions in the app. It is super easy to get up. And so I spent some time, took it out in my backyard. We had talked about maybe 3 possible positions, kind of up high off the roof, one out on the shed itself, and then maybe one over in the corner so I could get the back door included as well.
Yeah.
And so Friday I set it up, and then all I did was just set the camera around in different places, to not in the exactly where it would be, but one, I wanted to make sure the Wi-Fi was going to work. For what Ring makes up for in easy setup, it loses in Wi-Fi. It is not. It struggles in that area. You know,
Yeah.
I have a chime, but that chime doesn't have the greatest range. I mean, it is a drawback to the Ring system. Is I just don't think that the connectivity is as strong, and there's no wired options, which is kind of a shame. Like, it would be nice if I could run a wire out to it in some cases, but it is Wi-Fi only.
If Ring did PoE, I would be a Ring customer probably.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like there needs to be some sort of conversion kit, and maybe they'll get to this point. But again, I don't think there's a big enough market for it, right? Yeah. Like the people who are going to run PoE are going to run their own systems. But I've always thought that about all those systems.
Yeah, no, I'd be in for it as well. So spent the weekend kind of moving that thing around, and I'd show Sarah, what do you think about this position? What do you like on this one? What are we seeing here? And she actually liked kind of helping me kind of pick those various, like, you know, and so took some pictures, kind of compared them, some of those kinds of things. And then I think so, because it was super hot this weekend too. It was super hot going into the weekend. I think on Sunday I kind of finally decided, and when I mean I decided, it means I put it up with zip ties. So it's not even necessarily completely installed for real. I'm not sure if I like it there. I'm going to change it, but this is where the audio is going to get a little boring. I'm going to show you guys kind of a little bit of, I'm in my Ring dashboard at this point. And this is kind of, Mike, the look that I kind of settled on. Is you're kind of looking at the camera here, you get a good look at all the deck. I get some visibility to the right there. That's the path that comes in from the side of the house. So I get some coverage on that. Then you can see way out in the upper left-hand corner is the shed. Now, this isn't going to be the deterrent that we were talking about last time. I did take the Ring out to the shed. You can see in this picture how far away the shed is, right?
Yeah.
It's all the way on the other side of the yard. It had absolutely no Wi-Fi. I mean, it was just not, it was really jumpy and stuttery. The picture was bad. It wasn't good when I took it out there to test it out. I'll have to do something different out there. I don't think I'm going to be able to put another Ring cam out there unless I put a chime somewhere close or shoot some Wi-Fi or you know, tunnel in some Wi-Fi out there, right? Put something, which is not, again, I'm using the shed fairly often now for cigars, but it was too far out. So I do get a good chunk of the backyard. The other thing I don't get, which I really like, is my neighbor's yard. So the very top of this picture is kind of cut off by the roof, and that naturally shields the camera from my neighbor. And I don't think she'd mind, but I just don't really want it at this point. Like, just
especially for the motion triggers, right? Like, you know, anything triggering motion is actually in your backyard, not, oh man, I'm capturing the neighbor walking around her yard.
Yeah. Yeah. If you see, we'll talk about this maybe towards it. Well, that's not going to be big enough, but we're on full screen now. If Mike, if you see, there's two little, you see the two fans sitting on top of the deck railing on the left hand side. You see black,
Oh yeah.
those black
Yeah, now I see
squares.
'em.
Yeah, that is the very beginning of what we're calling the breeze machine out there, which is just fans that I've actually screwed into the deck. That just these fans have an all weather motor, and they can sit out there for most of the summer. And then in the winter, I'll unscrew them and take them in. But they can just sit there, and they create a nice little breeze across the deck. So you get a picture here. If you've never seen the Ring dashboard, this is it, and you can kind of see some of the I got to click actually in the right the right window. So you can kind of see you get the ability to, now I've purchased the $3 a month per camera subscription for this, or $30 a year. I'm to that point, Mike, with Ring, where at $10 a month, at $10 a month or $100 a year, you get you get unlimited cameras at that point.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the next camera, I'm just gonna, if I put another Ring camera in, I'm just gonna it's $1 more, right?
Yeah.
For that kind of deal. But you kind of see, you can then kind of see the motion of, I was out on the back deck the other night, enjoying the deck and having a good time. Oh, there's a good one. That was a good one of me lounging. Here's a good one of me lounging on the deck, enjoying a candle, let's just say. So, yeah, Mike, I think it was a good exercise. I think for me, what I learned is, before you install, kind of, tape it up there or zip tie it or put it close, because not only like the angle. So if in the picture you're seeing right now, if you go to the right, go all the way to the corner of the house, I tried one there and that got the whole deck and the back door, but it didn't get the shed. And, I was like, okay, I would like a good kind of, frontal shot, so to speak, of the deck, but tuned in a little bit, worked on my alerts, worked on the notification. There's all kinds of things that you can set that thing to, but gave me a pretty good, as a fun weekend project.
Yeah, I like that angle. I like the one you ended up on.
What now? How many do you have? What, you have 4, 5,
9?
No, jeez. Yeah. How did you decide? Like, what was the process of going through, of deciding what angles and what you covered? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So for me, number one, it was, okay, where can I get Ethernet to easily from my attic? So a lot of my angles are from eaves that were super easily accessible. When I went up into my attic, because you got to remember, all of mine, for the most part, except for, I'm doing a count here. Let's see, 1, 2, 3 are Wi-Fi. So I have 3 of the 9 are Wi-Fi cameras. But the rest of them we're trying to figure out, from different eaves, where do I put them? And then it was really just covering main areas of the house. So it was strategically placing, make sure we got driveway, front door, back door, backyard, and there are a lot of different areas of the backyard, so that if someone's coming through a gate, coming through a certain area, we're going to capture them. And then a lot of my decision was based on deterrence. So from the street, I live on the corner of a cul-de-sac. And so I have a lot of the corners of my house are visible from the street. And so I want to make sure, at least on each main corner, it was very clear that I had security cameras up and that they were recording all the time. But mainly, easy access to the eave, to run into the attic, to run that PoE switch. If you guys remember, I run one PoE switch actually in my attic, just a cheap TP-Link one, which saves me from having to run a bunch of cables from the attic down to the basement. So I run one cable from the attic to the basement that connects up to a PoE switch that powers a majority of those cameras.
Ed told me, I think Ed Sullivan had told me when he had a house built, he had them install a run from the attic to the basement in the walls.
Yes.
That was just a chase, and you could chase wires up and down that way, made it a little bit easier.
Yeah, well, and that's the hard part. So we're finishing our basement now. And I think we might have discussed this earlier, but now, like, my basement is my oasis when it comes to my server racks down here, even this main studio area, but it's a completely unfinished basement. And so I have access to, it's open, right? So whenever I need a new Ethernet wire, I just run it. And so now I have to decide and be permanent on where all my wires are going to go. And okay, this better be the last setup to the server rack. It's going to be a lot harder in about 2 months here to run any new Ethernet wire that I need to. So I do need to think through if there's anything else I need to do before that time, before everything gets, closed up and more permanent. Because I think me drilling a hole in a finished basement ceiling is going to get a bigger frown for my wife than it does now when I need to run a new cable.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been trying to avoid cables, just to be honest. You're just like, if I can get away with it. I was going to show a little bit back again. Ken, thanks for the reminder to go full screen here on the bottom right. I can't do that on the Mac because because I'm on an ultra wide, so it'll do all kinds of funky things. But that being said, you get it here. I was also going to just show, so I've got the driveway cam. This is, okay, there we go. So let's get back to the motion. There's the new Legacy with the new tint. Look at that. Yeah. Maybe we'll talk about the tint process because I had that done this week. This is the big one on the front deterrent wise, right? I've got this one and then the front door cam out here. I didn't preview these in advance. So there's my there's the
UPS guy.
Yeah, it is the UPS guy leaving some things for me. But that pretty much covers those two pretty much cover 100% for me of the front. I don't have to worry very much with that. The back now I'll probably go one or maybe two more cameras kind of in the back there. But,
well, I think it depends on too. So you were saying you were trying to avoid wires. On the camera side, when you're outside, you don't see any wires on mine. That's actually what I like about PoE, right? Because it runs through the stem of the camera. So you drill a little hole the holder of the camera where it mounts, you don't even see any wires. No need for solar, no need for changing batteries. So for me, a wire on security cameras is the one area where I actually still like a wire. Because number one, you never even see it. And number two, it gives you full power. Don't rely on Wi-Fi. But I'm in agreement with you. In all other areas of my life, I'm trying to avoid wires. But it's funny with cameras, I won't do anything with wireless on cameras. It has to be wired for me. Except for in areas like I said, 3 of mine are Wi-Fi.
Right.
But those are in areas where I can't run a physical cable.
I just realized the UPS guy was at 6:52 while we were at dinner. So that's a box we didn't know. I must have got an alert on. I think I got an alert on my watch, but I dismissed it because we were at dinner. So I got a box sitting out there. So anyways,
what is it?
Thanks for joining us tonight. No, I'll have to send Sarah out to get it. But when I meant running wires, not so much of them showing Mike as much as getting in the attic.
Oh yeah, the process of it
of running them. Yeah,
That's definitely not fun.
That's not.
Make sure you do it in the winter. That's for sure. It's not something you want to do in the summer.
Good process. I'll probably continue to watch Woot for another deal, so to speak. Use Slick Deals to get those, kind of monitored. And I think if another one comes up, what I'd really love to do is have the Ring floodlight cam. That's where it's the floodlight and the cam all in one. Mm-hmm. It's all in the box, not the big lights that come off of it, but just in the box. If I do that, I'll be honest, I might need to run, Wi-Fi and power out to it. I don't think it's going to be, I think I'm going to need to power it at that point.
Yeah, those floodlight cams are nice. I installed one for my in-laws down at the farm. And just the fact that it connects to power in the same manner that your old floodlight did. So if you had a floodlight or a light somewhere, you're already wired for it, which I really liked how the power was already run, but still does run over Wi-Fi.
Did you see how great my grass is looking out there? I mean,
when I saw it in person, Jim, I was shocked because I told you I am on a struggle bus this year with my lawn, and yours just looks fantastic.
Doesn't that look just what you can see? It's actually a lot browner than it's been, just because I'm not watering this year. Like I'm like, if it's going dormant, it's going dormant. If it doesn't survive, I'm going to put rocks in its place. Just kind of done doing that.
I turned it on this week, but I've kept mine off as well. But I think I'm to the point where I'm probably going to fire my chemical people just because I have so many weeds popping up. I went to mow last time, and I'm like, what's the point of paying? I mean, and it's not cheap for all the weed prevention and control. There's just been a lot. I usually put up with a little bit, but there's been a lot this year.
That's a disappointment, right? When you're paying all that, and then,
yeah. $60 an application, and I think they do 8 applications a year.
Right.
So, I mean, not insanely expensive, but enough that I shouldn't be having a bunch of weeds pop up in the middle of the lawn.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if you also looked at that picture carefully, you saw on the front porch, the delivery box. It's the plastic box that we have out there that we ask all of our, all of the UPS and postal service. And that's worked out pretty well. I installed Paul Breran had bought one of those, and it turned me on to it. Bought one. I actually put it, Mike, up on a stand. I gave it a good 8 inches for the FedEx guy, because he was complaining about dropping the HelloFresh in there, and he was like, "Hurts my back. It's so low. Can you? Because you got to kind of slide it in. It just HelloFresh just fits inside that box, right?" So, but it's been good. It keeps our boxes dry. I put a handle on it. Most of the delivery folks get it right? Not all of them do, but most of them get it done. So fun this weekend to kind of mess around with the camera, get that done. I didn't get a ton of engagement from you guys on it, but that's okay. It takes a while for sometimes these to catch up and for you to get them done. And I just had some time this weekend to do it. Also this weekend, Mike, in last show, we talked a little bit about creating this kind of generator, this generator monitor, right?
Yeah.
In other words, how can I come off, my generator's got a 6,500 watts. You've got a 240, kind of lock in that comes for one of the receptacles. And then it has two, a 120, 15 amp breakers that they're just regular plugs. And they've got, one of them even has, I think, 2.1 to charge phones right off the generator, if you wanted to do it that way. And I want to kind of move away from, I was like, okay, how do I get this wired in the house? So the picture I'm showing is a through the wall kit made by Reliance. They're $100. This was pictured at Menards. I think you could get them on Amazon for $192. Let's say, how Amazon is.
Oh yeah. And
really all it is a 240 connection on the outside, comes through the wall with a 1/2-inch hole. And then on the inside of the wall, you put this 6 breakers. They're still 15 amps. And you which I think is really, really common, by the way. But you bring that through, and it allows you to plug in the generator on the outside, and then at least you have 6 outlets that are wired on the inside. And Mike, I was kind of had myself convinced. I think I saw this. So Monday, while my car was getting tinted, I popped over to Menards, and I saw this. And I was like, oh, I think this is it, right? And then I was thinking, okay, and this I did post in the Discord group, and I got some good feedback from you guys. Just like, how am I going to monitor this? So I was thinking about, putting the Sense makes a monitor, right? That orange monitor, and you can, it's expensive. Like it's $315, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's on sale. But it had basically 2 wire monitors. So you put them around the wires, the hot wires, hot and neutral. I could have that wrong, but I think that's right. And then it with Sense, you plug it into its own, you give it its own breaker as well. I watched the install video for it.
I was always wondering how that worked.
Yeah, the breaker powers it. So you give it a double breaker and power it up. But they can either monitor then a solar panel or a generator as well on that. And I thought, oh, that's cool. Chris Kenny sent me a note via Discord and goes, I tried Sense, didn't work out really well. He was not, and he gave me the name. Have you ever tried or thought about putting one of those energy monitors?
Yes. It's one of those that every time I watch a YouTube video, I want to do it. And then I think, what is it really going to do for me? Like, it's just expensive for, like, Ecobee, I can totally justify because it saves us so much money in electricity costs by knowing when we're away, when we're not there, not having the air conditioning run. Sense for me, besides just having knowledge of it, like I know my electrical bill, and I don't know if it would give me enough data. I turn off all the lights, I turn off everything you can. That I don't know if it would give me enough data to actually make up the cost of it.
Yeah, so actually I was wrong. Chris Kenny dropped it on our Facebook group, and I had posted I was looking at this, and he said I didn't like Sense when I tried it. I have the Emporia energy system now, Emporia. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Um, so basically, really, all you need is a sensor then that goes around the wires to kind of pull the draw.
Mm-hmm.
And so my thought really is, so instead of, I can buy a 240 adapter that just goes on the outside of the house, right? The plugs in there. And then I think I'm going to come into a box where I can then run a wire up to my kitchen and have an outlet in the kitchen,
Yeah.
and then run an outlet over to the pantry where the other fridge is. And so it gets a dedicated kind of outlet in the ceiling where I can literally just go, right? Just unplug and plug in, and you're ready to go. Same in the kitchen. Have a plug that's hidden behind the fridge. That's that's the generator plug, so to speak.
Right.
And bring those back to a small circuit breaker and then kind of run it through that. Still allow me to monitor it. In fact, it would give me a box to be able to put one of these energy monitors in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And that's a perfect use case for sensor. Actually really does make sense on monitoring, right? Because then there's a benefit to it. You're monitoring it, but you're monitoring it because you know the capability and the output of your generator to make sure you're matching it.
So, it looks like, and I have to kind of think it through. I may even diagram it out. I would they sell here, as we're looking at the picture, they sell this 240 house outside of the house connection. And then I would run it through with some conduit into a breaker box of some sort where I've got some room. And then I could even, if I do it that way, it'll even give me a chance to kind of breaker the, each of those lines. So I could, I might have 3 or 4, because I'd probably run one to the kitchen, one to the pantry, and one over here to the computer area. Yeah. So I could have them all on their own breakers, basically. Just gives me some more flexibility that way and some room to put an energy monitor in there. So got a little work to do on that one still.
Well, and it's so funny you bring it up because we both did our homework on this past week. Because Jim, you had me really thinking through. Okay, because I've been wanting a generator for a while, and it's something I've wanted to spend the money on. I'm like, it's just getting to a point where we don't lose power too often here. But for me, Jim, there's actually the other use case of, man, like I'd love, and this will lead into our next segment, but I love doing ham radio portable. I love going out. I love camping, number one. Camping is like, we love to camp. So we do that all the time. And I would love to have power while we're camping, and then doing that and being able to power the ham radio and everything. So Jim, when you were talking about your project, what that had me doing, I'm like, okay, is there anything, like the DIY aspect is so much fun, right? And I get that, but I'm like, okay, if I'm going to be spending the money up front, I haven't purchased the generator yet. Like, how much more expensive would it be to get a generator that has some of these smarts built in? And actually what I came across, and I'm curious to get your input on this, is and it's funny because the timing of all this, there are a lot of the tech YouTubers are talking about this new product. And it's not a new genre, but kind of the next gen of it. And I'll share my screen here real quick. It is the EcoFlow electric. Essentially, it's a battery bank. So think of, one second here. Give me a second. Pull it up here. So if you guys can see this, so this is the size of a generator. It's kind of cool but all it is it's batteries, right? And so you're going to charge this thing up either via the wall, or most guys actually hook this up to, it has solar input. So you can plug in a bunch of solar panels, and you can either, if you need this in an emergency, you just set the solar panels right next to it, charges off the sun, and it's charging this, and you're good to go. You probably have this pre-charged, and then you put solar panels. But a lot of guys now are actually putting solar. So the example I saw was this guy has a shed in his back, a really big barn, I should call it. It looks like a barn. where it houses animals. It's got electronic stuff in it. So he connected one of these main units, and they actually sell extra units just as tall that are just pure batteries. So he has a total of 3 units, one main controller. He put 2 solar panels up on his roof. And for him, this powers everything in his barn 100% of the time. It charges he has an electric mower, charges that. And for me, I was like, and it's kind of cool. So it's got these wheels on the back, and it's got a handle that pops up, and you can just wheel it around like a suitcase. I mean, I'm sure it's pretty heavy, but and it's good. Then it's got an app, right? It's always got to have an app. It's got, like, I think Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, where it tells you kind of how much it's pulling and what's happening here. But a very interesting, if you wanted, there's definitely the pros of going gas, but if you wanted, I think for solar, if you wanted to go the solar route, I think it's really interesting. The one thing that's a downside to going this route that I think, Jim, for you is a big plus, the way you're doing yours, is if your house is down for days on end. I mean, yeah, your solar is going to be charging this up at a pretty good rate, but you're probably not going to be able to keep up as much. I mean, with 2 and 3, maybe, but you're not going to be able to keep up as fast as just being able to go get more gas, put it in the tank, and let it go. But I thought some of the pros, obviously being silent, like for camping, this is ideal. You put this thing outside by your campsite, no one hears it. No one knows you're running a generator. For ham radio, same sort of thing. I go to a park, and even if I'm doing an all day event, you can wheel this around. You could power a couple ham radios, for a whole team of people on it. So I thought it was kind of interesting how, but and the other downside, Jim, is these are expensive.
They are.
I think for the
I looked at these at one point.
Yeah, for the Delta Pro, which is what you want, plus a 400-watt solar panel, you're talking about $3,800, right? So not cheap. But generators themselves aren't cheap, and then all the monitoring and everything, and so you kind of get it all packaged up, and you do pay for the convenience of having it all put together. But then there's the pros and cons of having it be essentially just a power bank you're hauling around. But I love the combination of solar. I've thought about putting, like, this for me, I would put 2 of these in the garage. I would then put 2 solar panels on the roof of my garage, run the cable down, and have these constantly run and charge batteries to do any sort of stuff. So I don't know. I think it's kind of it's one cool solution that could be employed as well.
You think you could use one of these as kind of an advanced UPS in a computer? Like,
definitely think so.
You know?
Well, think about how easy it is to run. I mean, the solar panel batteries or cables not long or not big, right? So you could run that cable. I don't know how long those runs can be, but I assume pretty long. I think about my security cameras that I drill a hole to the outside to put a security camera out there. You could easily, and these guys mount their own solar panels. They're not that hard nowadays. I actually like this setup. There's an argument this could be better than having a Tesla Powerwall. This is a lot more versatile, right? You can take this thing wherever you want. Right. You could take this to, like I said, camping. You could take it to your friend's house. You can wheel it to a neighbor's. You can do whatever you need. When you need a bunch of extra power, and especially when you add solar in. I mean, I think this is the new solution for powering things like barns, where you need light. You don't need much. You need light. And this guy is running power tools like 3 at a time, like big power tools. So I think for someone who's trying to power a place, and instead of running mains power, and you're off grid at that point. If you have the solar, you're truly off grid, and these things are always charging up. The way the guy was, so since he had 3, he had the 2 power banks on each side. He was really never going to run out of power, unless the mains went down, unless essentially he had to live in there. But for the power that he was pulling now with LED lights and everything, everything's pretty power efficient. So an interesting secondary option if you wanted to go electric and you wanted to pay a lot of money for your solution.
Well, and if you go to their site now, so go to allprogenerators.com, they're actually running some deals on these EcoFlows. And so, like, you can get the 110-watt solar panel, they're foldable panels, for $400. Normally they're $600. So they're running some deals there. Their 1800-watt generator is $1,200 as opposed to $1,900. So, it may, Mike, you get me kind of thinking here. Like, the shed, I'm in the shed maybe twice a week for an hour.
One of those could be, and just put a solar on top.
Yeah, self-charging. So then it
Oh yeah, you
right, and
never
then
run
it
out of power.
it would just and it would also power that ring cam that I put out
Oh
there
yeah,
pretty
for sure.
easily, right? And
Easily. I
and
mean,
yeah,
easily.
yeah, yeah. I may even think about where I put those solar panels, because for the ring cam that I just installed, the one we showed in the beginning of the show, I put the solar on. I wrapped it around the the pipe that comes out that's got the the electrical service to the house
Yeah.
in that, and then just face that thing south, and it just bakes. I mean, it's in a spot. It's getting 6 or 7 or 8 hours of sun. Did I bring my phone down here? Yeah, there it is. It's getting 6 or 7 or 8 hours of sun every day, and I have yet to, when I look at that, when I look at the energy, the device health, it's been at 100% every day, and I've been taking pictures with it and streaming it live and all those other kinds of things. So yeah, you know what? Thanks for reminding me of that. I was seriously thinking, well, I guess I'm going to get a trench and run electricity out there, and
That's going to cost you just as much.
oh yeah, for sure. Maybe one, and then it's these these units, you can kind of take them. Then they're versatile. If you need to take the battery and take it somewhere with you, fully charged, you can. Right? It's not a permanent solution.
No. Well, and the good part about that is too, no fumes. So like when you're running a generator,
True.
right? Like this,
True.
you can pull this down into your basement and run the wire up, whatever you need to do, right? If you want to run solar down, or if you just want to, hey, it's fully charged. I mean, this thing's gonna power you for a long time. It's a lot of battery.
Yeah.
So you can pull this down to your basement, wherever.
Wonder how they handle cold weather. That's the really out in the shed when it's really cold.
Yeah.
Do you leave it? Can it get damaged? Some of those kinds of things. I guess I'd have to. Well, you've given me, given me something new, Mike. Because I love the Tesla battery wall concept. I just don't know if I want to invest in a permanent.
And it's permanent,
right?
Yeah. And this thing, okay.
Yeah.
So like, how much is the Pro? So $2,600 for the Pro, 1,700 for the EcoFlow Delta Max. So you might be able to. I don't know how much the Max puts out. Okay, so the Max capacity is 2,000 watt hours. Can put out 2,400 watts of AC output. And then the Pro is essentially not double, but a little more than a third more. 3,600 watt hours, 3,600 watts output.
Well, they got a 110. They got a 110 watt. So with the device and the panels, 750. Right, that's what I paid for the generator.
110 watt.
110 watts. So it's a small.
It's not a lot.
Yeah, but I don't need much. Or
110. It's almost. But you wouldn't be able to run a heater in the winter. I would think we're running an electric heater.
Well, that's
what I would want.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't, because it's terribly inefficient.
I wonder what the output is.
Yeah.
Well, who cares if it's inefficient if it's charging via solar?
Well, yeah, that's true.
Right? Like,
yeah,
you're not paying for the power.
Yeah,
that's the best part about it. Is it's not gas. You're not paying for it. It's free power.
Yeah. No, I see what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. I get. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
But I bet. So what's the output on that one? Is it? I wonder if it's just called the 110. I bet it puts out more than 110 is not much power at all. You couldn't power much off a 110.
Oh no! I'm sorry. It's 600. 600. Sorry. The 110 is the panels.
The model. The 110 watt panels. That makes total sense.
Yeah. Yep. So 110 watt panels. It's the EcoFlow River 600. So I'm gonna say that's a 600 watter.
Okay. Still probably not enough to run an electric heater, but good enough for a lot of other stuff. You could run the electric heater on low.
288 watt hours.
Okay, that's capacity.
Okay, yeah, that right. Recharges from 0 to 80% within an hour.
And does it have AC output anywhere?
Yeah, for sure. It's got
no, I mean, does it tell you what the power is on the AC output, the max?
3 times 600 watt AC outlets.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, you could run a heater on low, because those heaters, like my heater pulls out 1,200 watts. It's insane.
Oh yeah, I know.
When those things run, they, like you said, terribly inefficient. But when you're running off solar power, who cares? And for you in that shed, for how little you use it, who cares how small the solar is? it can take a day to recharge. You don't care. You're like, hey, I'm going to be out there for a few hours once a day. Take the rest of the day. I don't care to charge. So 110 watts.
Something more to spend money on, Mike Wieger.
Oh, for sure.
Something more to spend.
Always
money.
is.
Luke, when we were talking about monitoring, Luke said in chat room, and is this AOTech? Do you think that's how you pronounce that? AOTech
yeah, I would say so.
makes Z-Wave home energy monitor, $100 on Amazon. That's this one right here, this AOTech by Aeon, Labs. So Luke, I'll have to look into that, and because that could be, I need two. These only have one. I really need. Well, I want two, Mike, because I want to. If I'm going to do this, I want to put one on my. I guess I could just buy two for $200. I want to put one on the power coming into the house to monitor that, and I want to monitor the generator stuff when it's on. Right.
Yeah. Well, do you have a Z-Wave hub?
I don't. I don't
so
know. I don't think I do. Yeah.
I don't think you do either.
Yeah. No, I don't think I do. This is you can see here on the screen. Here's the Sense Energy monitor.
Yeah.
The one right now, the one port, like you can monitor one power source, $269, not terribly expensive. The 2 was on sale. That had been $399. It's down to $315. So, and then
see, and that's kind of my point though. Like as you're starting to spend all this money, it's like you go with this really beefy electric one. I guess, I mean, you're still gonna be cheaper.
Yeah. But. Yeah. The Emporia, this is the one that Chris Kenny was talking about.
Okay.
And it gives you the ability to.
Oh, that's pretty affordable.
Yeah. And it's this, in this particular case, it has 5 50 amp circuits that you can put them around the mains and the circuits.
Yeah.
This may be one where if I play my cards right, I could get both. Right. I could run one of those lines to the sub box. Yeah. To the sub box for the generator and monitor it that way.
And then yeah.
So they do have a version with 16 of them. And I need to do some more. I have not done very much reading up on these.
That's probably how many you would need. Your box is probably 16. I doubt you have an 8 breaker box.
Yeah. So 149.
Yeah.
If I want to do it that way. So I need to do, again, maybe I'll call Chris. I just need to do a little monitor or a little, little reading on it. I went to the next gear with this. I was like, oh yeah, I got this solution, and I could run extension cords. And then that was first gear. And then it was like, oh, well, wait a minute. Maybe I could run some, maybe I could do some wiring. If I do this right, I could do some wiring in the house and I wouldn't have to run extension cords and.
And I think, wasn't this Sarah's comment when I was over and we started to nerd out on this? We started talking about it. She was like, oh God, here we go. And I think even Sammy was like, Dad, you're going to be out there like going crazy with the generator. And so he did. The one, if you don't follow me, you need to on YouTube, Jerry Rig Everything, as in Jerry, like the name G-E-R, Rig Everything. He is awesome, huge tech YouTuber. He destroys stuff. He tests the rigidity of stuff. And he's the one who I saw do the original review of that EcoFlow. So he's the one who put the solar panels on top of his shed. If you just need a cool video to watch and kind of see the thing, Jerry Rig Everything. And the name of this one, it was Off-Grid Solar Power. So easy, it's almost cheating. That's the title of that one. So good video if you guys want to see how those EcoFlow generators really work and how he ran it.
Mike, the shed, I showed that picture here a second ago. We'll just bring it up one more time since we're talking about this. Ideally, the best place for that, let's go back to Ring here. Did I close it? Oh no, there it is. And we'll go to the back door. Ideally, I would, say I was going to put that battery in the, in the shed. You can see it back in the corner there.
Yeah.
And this is first thing in the morning right now, right? This is at 8 a.m. And you look at the shed, it's lit up beautifully.
Oh yeah, that solar would get a lot of good use.
It's only that way for an hour.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you would, if you only measure, I was kind of watching all weekend to see what kind of, so let's go back to the picture where I was taking a break. Oh, there's me watering again. That's at 7:40 and the sun isn't quite there yet. You see, let me get an evening. Here's an 8 p.m.er with me sitting there. I'm actually watching myself on the phone. This is a live view. So it's a little meta on this
A little
one.
Inception, yeah.
But you see the shed. Okay, now it's 8 p.m. So you wouldn't expect to have high usage there. Let me see if I have another time. Like, because you would think like, okay, what about in the afternoon? Let's see if this. No, I didn't have it on. So you have to believe me on this one. It just doesn't get that roof is in a great spot. And you think now in the winter, when all the leaves come off the trees, different story, right? But in the summer, when you would get max solar production, that's the worst area for it. So I would actually want to put those panels on my roof on the house and run a cable or something, because it's just not just doesn't work. I just don't get enough sunlight out there.
And the cables are super cheap, so you could easily run those cables over there. Or, alternatively, like I said, you don't really use it too often, so that you might be surprised how much you can recharge just from the little sun you're getting. Or, those batteries can also charge off the house. And so I doubt I bet it would take you a long time to drain through those. Just pull it over the house and plug it in every once in a while and let it charge off the power of the house. But then it's not free. Then you're paying for it. I think the solar is the way to go. So it's free power.
Well, I could always just put it on the roof, see how it does, just temporarily install it and be like, okay, I'm going to charge it up fully one time and then just start using it. And, the trickle charge from 2 hours of usage may be enough to keep that thing fully, to keep it fully charged. So it recharges during the week. And then you can, maybe that's enough. You don't know.
I bet it would be. I bet you'd be surprised.
Crap. Now you just gave me another thing to buy. Dang you, Wieger. All right. You've been working on your ham stuff. Give us an update on what you've been up to.
Yeah, so Jimmy, just a quick update for those of you who are into the ham radio stuff. So you guys all know I told you guys that I ended up losing my ham radio HF antenna off the roof during this massive windstorm we had. Took out our fence and took out my antenna, so I put up a new one. But while I was putting that up, we also are finishing the basement. And the issue with that is I am in the opposite corner of my basement now as to where the antenna, the feed line comes in for the outside. So complete opposite. So that means there's a lot of coax that runs across the ceiling to come down to my radio. So what I'm planning out where during the new finished basement, I'm going to be putting the ham radio. It's actually going to be, I'm going to put it over in that corner. And so I was like, okay, well, this requires a new kind of a setup, right? And so I actually got one of those. If you go outside and you look at your utility boxes on the outside of your house, there's probably one from, like, for us, it's Cox Communications, right? All those weatherproof outside boxes that they have essentially protects where the line comes in from the utility and then goes into your house. So I ended up getting one of those to put on the outside. Right now, I have a hole drilled in my house in the wall from my basement out to the outside. I have the coax cable run out and then I siliconed all in. So, just like most people would run that in. But I kind of wanted a more versatile, be able to plug and play situation. So what I did was I got one of those boxes, I put it on the outside of the house, and then I drilled and I put PVC from the inside to the outside. And so now it's this nice enclosed box. So if I ever need to switch cables out, it's no longer cutting out a bunch of silicone, pulling it out. It's just, and then what you do is essentially you stuff steel wool or whatever you need inside that PVC to stop if bugs were to get into this box or anything, or air you don't want it getting in. So you kind of stuff that hole when you're done. So doing that. But for the tech angle of this, right? So I put the box in. The tech angle of this is for those of you who are into ham radio. So I obviously have my HF rig and put up the new antenna. And you guys know, if you're into ham radio, HF radio, you can pretty much use any coax. So for non-ham radio people, when you think of coax, think of the stuff that you plug in cable TV to, right? Now that's that's not good coax for ham radio because that center conductor is so small. But for ham radio, you're using the same idea, coaxial cable, a center conductor, you have outside shielding, pretty basic. And for HF, you can get away with pretty much anything. So I use RG8X for those ham radio guys out there for my HF rig, but I have a really long line. So it's about 100 and probably 30 feet out to my antenna of coax. And then for my 2-meter radio, so this is where things differ. When you guys are doing, this radio right here, this is the 2-meter 440. This is your close range radio. So this is how I talk to all the guys in Omaha, almost like your CB radio, right? So I have this on my desk. This antenna is actually inside in the attic, and it's about still about 125 feet of coax that runs up, down across the end of the basement, and then straight up through the main level into the attic. And I have a foldable, essentially J-pole ladder line antenna up there. What I realized, and what you guys might not realize, you ham radio guys out there, is how much line loss you have with 2-meter 440 radios with RG8X or anything less apt on coax. So as an example, when you have, this is a 25 watt radio, 20 watt radio that I have for 2-meter and 440. When you have a 20 watt radio and you are using RG8X, and let's say you have 20 watts at 50 feet, you're already down to the amount of watts that's hitting the antenna is only about 2 watts. So you're losing 18 watts in the coax cable because how lossy that cable type is with your radio at those frequencies. So part of this big upgrade for me was actually going from, especially on the 2-meter 440, I went from RG8X to LMR 400. And Jim, this is where I really nerded out on the types of coax cable you can get. And so this RG8X, I wish I could, oh, can I pull it? Nope, I can't. It's a pretty flexy, right? It's some pretty flexible cable. This LMR 400, so it just came in. I got 100 feet of it. This stuff's expensive, $1.20 a foot. So for 100 feet of this cable, it was over $100. But you essentially retain a lot more of your power. So on a 20 watt radio, you're going to have about 17 watts making it out to the antenna, which makes a huge difference when you are essentially trying to get your signal out from your radio, out your antenna, to the receiving antennas. So the big upgrade, and it was something I hadn't really thought of. And again, for those of you guys, I spend most of my time on HF now, long distance contacts, and RG8X is fine at 100 feet. You're going to be more than good. But I was just shocked to see that only about 2 watts. And I was wondering, I'm like, why am I not hitting the repeater? It's so weird. I can go outside on my handy talkie and I can hit it. Well, a handy talkie is 5 watts. And I'm like, I have this big 20 watt radio. I have a big antenna. It doesn't matter. My 5 watt handy talkie is actually getting 5 watts out. My 20 watt radio is only getting 2 watts out of the 20 because the rest of that's getting lost in heat and other, essentially it's heat getting lost in the coax because those coax, the different qualities of them are not meant to handle that type of stuff. So lesson learned, that's the upgrade. I also, while I was at it, I mean, why not? I got a whole new 2-meter 440, really cool antenna to put on the outside of my house. So I'm going to put that, I have a plan to put that on the Eve that arrives tomorrow. And so going to be fully set up and ready to go, but much more modular and nice looking ham radio setup is going to go in the finished base. And I'm really excited. We're going to make, actually, this sounds weird. You guys are making fun of me. It's actually going to be in the guest room. But it's going to be a really cool kind of modern setup where it's just the radio on the desk, my ham radio map right above it that's right behind me with all the pins and the places I contact. I think it's going to look actually really, really cool. I'm going to split it up. So my ham radio is no longer going to be at my big 4-monitor gaming rig setup. It's going to be on its own and a place I can go sit, play ham radio, relax, and have some fun. Yeah.
The antenna Hannah approved. I'm assuming she knows.
Yes. So the old HF rig was on a essentially 25-foot mast on top of our house. The current HF antenna is literally a wire that peeks out from the corner eave of the house and runs into a tree. You don't even know it's there. It's a black wire. You can't even see it. Nice. And her question was, that was literally an option this entire time. And you had a 20-foot metal pole sticking out the top of your house, and now you have just a little wire sneaking out from an eave into a tree. So yeah, the more you learn about ham radio, the more you learn of the different options of what you got. So
the more you know.
And the other antenna that we got for the 2-meter, a nice black, just a 3-foot little one. It'll be in a much more hidden position. So it'll be
nice. Good. Nice. Well, you know what? I'm going to be on a rabbit trail this weekend is these freaking generators. These
see, you're already that whole time. See, that's a great part. When Mike talks,
I didn't hear a word you said.
Jim can just go into his own world over there.
Like, how could I? Well, in maybe some of my thinking on this, in this would apply to you too. Is today I have 4 UPS devices down here. To basically one to power all the computers on this side. There's 3 over here. There's 4 on that side. That has another UPS, and then 2 mini UPSs to power the networking. The network, the modem, those kinds of things. Those can last forever. Like those will go for an hour, 2 or 3 on the batteries that I have for them, right? Because they don't draw that much power. But what I learned when the generator went down, or when the power went down, is the UPSs I have are not generator friendly, right? That there's something between them, and I haven't figured it out yet. If you've got some ideas on what's going wrong, these are the APC 1000s or 1200s or whatever they're. And they're just the cheap ones. I got them for $100, whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, those are the ones I run too.
Yeah. And they do fine, but they pop the breaker on the generator every single time. There's something, even with no load on the UPSs, it pops. Must be something in the circuitry, right? Pops the GFCI on the generators, both of them. So that gets me thinking, Mike, like, maybe now that's a pretty expensive. We're talking about a $2,000 generator, right? That just to back up your computer gear. That's a tough justification. That's a tough justification.
But the great part about what I think I would do, Jim, is you're actually in a perfect use case. And if you're what I would do, if I'm you, I get the beefy boy, I get the big one, I go big or go home. I use it in my shed 24/7 because you have a good use case for using it in the shed.
Yeah.
And in the off chance, the once a year that the power goes out, I wheel it because it has a nice little handle. I wheel it out of the shed. I pull it to where you would have had the regular generator, or better yet, it's electric. I pull it down to the basement and I plug in everything I need to. Right. So it's not always running as a battery backup. Keep those cheap ones. And then all you have to do is wheel that down to your basement and plug everything into that, and you're good to go. Because it wouldn't just be sitting there as a emergency thing. You would get full everyday use out of it, plus being able to pull inside.
It's kind of tough though, Mike, just to be honest, to have this gas generator sitting here and then justify buying.
Well, sell the gas one on Facebook Marketplace. You could probably sell it now for more than you bought it for. Come on, you got to think like Mike.
Wieger, like I just need you to do those things for me. You're so much better at it than I am. Like, I don't know. I'm invested in this gas generator. Like, I like it. I like it. It was, anyway. So, maybe good to have both. Just to be honest with you.
It for sure is. It's good to have both.
Yeah, you gotta have all those alternative forms. One quick thing, as we're going out here, I mentioned on Monday. So I took the Legacy in to get it tinted. And man, Omaha Auto Wrap, Mike, if you ever need any tinting, these guys just slick. Took it in at 9, was done by 1. I just stayed down there. It was down in Ralston. So I just stayed down there. I went to Starbucks for a couple hours, had coffee, went over to Menards, found that generator thing that got me thinking about the whole thing. So that was cool. And then popped over to a Dairy Queen to get some lunch because I thought, I never get to eat a Dairy Queen. Lobby's still closed. It's like,
Did you walk through the drive-thru?
Like, really? No. So I walked over to Subway. They had a Subway over there. So I walked over to Subway, but I couldn't stay there. So I went over to there's a Holiday Inn Express right behind it. And I said, hey, I'm meeting somebody here. Is it okay if I just hang out in your lobby? And they're like, oh yeah. So watched the Olympics and hung out in their lobby and used the Wi-Fi. And the guys called me about one and they're like, hey, it's done. Dude, it is so beautiful. So nice. I bought this. So that's keeping the inside cooler. And then I bought one of these sun shields, the screen shield. And it's like an umbrella. So and it opens up. It's square, it's a rectangle, and you just, and it opens up into the windshield and you just pin it in there with the visors. And then when you're done, you just put the visors up and pull it back and it retracts like an umbrella. Put the Velcro strap around it, put it in its case, and you're done.
Do those work pretty well? I've never used one.
We're going to find out. I got it yesterday and I used it today and a couple times today. And it's better than those big round ones that you got to kind of do the loops to get them in.
Oh, I hate those.
and it's less space than one of the accordion ones, that you kind of
Yeah.
old school accordion ones. So a good little, in fact, here, why don't I I'll just bring it up here while we're doing all this. Here it is. Let's take a look at it. It's $20. Like, this is one of those where I was like, it had been 30 and then it was on sale for 20. And I'm like, well, maybe this thing's going to kind of be a piece of junk, but we'll see how durable it is, over the course of the year.
Right. Of putting it in and out. Yeah.
Even if I'm buying one of these or every other year or once a year, you kind of bucks
for $20. Yeah.
You kind of go, so it perfectly fits, which got me thinking, I wonder if the auto industry has standardized on windshield sizes. Like, I never thought about that, but
it's a good question.
Maybe to make things easier for repair people, like there isn't all these different kinds of windshield. I mean, there's different kinds, but this says fits most vans and SUVs at 57 by 31 inches. Fit perfect. I went out and measured it was 57 by 31. I was like, are you kidding me? That's what got me thinking maybe
they're standardized.
Maybe
it's a good point.
Maybe they're just standardized, type deal. So pretty a very, very cool low tech, but seems to work very well and is easy to open and close inside the car. You definitely want to if you're gonna open it or close it, you don't want somebody sitting in the passenger seat.
Take them out. Unless you don't like that person. And then you're golden.
That's right. Yeah. Joe says there's a car engineer is laughing somewhere. So that's very, 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 very possible, Joe. In that, just like Joe had also said when he saw the picture of me out there was a mole laughing at me, from behind. So appreciate that. Mike, another week. Just a reminder to folks, next week, no live show. We're going to take a week-long break before Mike is on the road. I'm assuming you're on the road. Is that your...
I am on the road.
Excuse?
Yep, I'm in California.
Yeah, very nice. You're going to be hanging out at my hometown. And we'll take a week off and come back and celebrate 500.
I'm out the next week as well.
Really? So maybe 2 weeks.
Wait. Is there a week in there? I'm out the 19th. I need to look up.
Oh, I think there's a week in between.
There's a week in between, right? That's why. So. Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Let's
open up a calendar here. Yes. So there's the 13th, which will be, the 12th, which will be episode 500. And then I'm out the 19th.
Today's the 29th, right?
Yeah.
So July 29th, the 5th. You're out the 5th.
I'm out the 5th. So 500 will be on the 12th.
Okay.
And then, yeah.
All right, we'll figure it out. Maybe I'll get Bob and Ryan next week, or I don't know. We'll figure something. I got to get Scoon over in to talk about networking. So, although I kind of want you around for that show. So, so cool. Well, we'll figure it out one way or another. I don't think we're going to make that big of a deal about 500. Just a number, right? So
it's a cool number, though.
It is. It's a cool number. A couple reminders on the way out. One, don't forget. And I saw a little discussion going on in a Discord group about this. If you need hosting, you shouldn't be asking in our groups who to host with. Okay. Maple Grove Partners, secure, reliable, high-speed hosting out there. Maple Grove Partners. Check him out. MapleGrovePartners.com. Christian really specializes in WordPress, but he'll do just about anything. So give him a ring or head out to MapleGrovePartners.com and shoot him an email. And he'd love to chat with you about it. Most plans start as little as $10 a month. So if you want to try it out, MapleGrovePartners.com. If you want to send me an email, if you got some feedback or whatever, Jim@theaverageguy.tv. Find me on Twitter at jcollison. Wieger Tech @Wieger Tech is Mike's. Don't forget, you can leave us a phone message, homegadgetgeeks.com. Find us on Discord, theaverageguy.tv/Discord. Why aren't you talking to us more? There's so many different ways that you can be talking to us. And actually, I kind of like the traffic that we get in Discord. It's enough that you don't get too far behind if you miss it for a week type deal, but some great deals going on out there, some really good conversation. So if you want to join us in Discord, you can do it that way. If you want to join us on Patreon, theaverageguy.tv/Patreon, if you want to join us that way. I still got some coins that Ron gave me, those little 3D printed coins. And so just commit to the $5 plan. I will mail you one of those. US only. It gets too hard to ship them other places around the world, or too expensive. They're like $5 to ship. So and that's US, but we'll get one of those sent out to you as well. Mike, anything else? Did I forget anything?
No, we didn't forget anything. I think
we got another one of these done. another one done. We are live every Thursday, except when we're not. 8 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, out here at theaverageguy.tv/live. Thanks to those few of you who came out tonight to join us live. And if you haven't ever done that and you got this far, why wouldn't you come? Like, you're super engaged. Why wouldn't you? I mean, seriously, you're listening an hour and 10 minutes, right? Why wouldn't you come out and join us live? Come out Thursday nights, theaverageguy.tv/live, 8 p.m. Central. You can do it. We'd like to see you here. We'll do this again in 2 weeks. And with that, we'll say goodbye.